dear children, welcome back to chemistry class. In our previous class, we have seen what is the reactivity series of metals. We have also seen what are compounds and the characteristics of compounds. So since you are already clear with what are elements and compounds, today let us begin with a comparative study of elements and compounds. We already know that elements are made up of one kind of atoms or similar kind of atoms, while compounds are made up of two or more different kind of atoms. Example of elements include hydrogen, oxygen, etc. While example of a compound is water. Water which is formed by a combination of two different elements, that is hydrogen and oxygen. We also know that elements cannot be broken down into two or more simpler substances by any physical methods or chemical methods. While compounds can be broken down into two or more simpler substances, that is into its elements, only by chemical methods and not by any physical methods. We also know that elements have got their own set of properties, while properties of the compound are different from that of its elements. Let's see that example. For the compound water, these are made up of the elements hydrogen and oxygen. Now let us see hydrogen. Hydrogen is a combustible gas, which means it burns, while it does not support combustion. While the element oxygen, it is a non-combustible gas, but it supports combustion. While in the case of compound, which is formed by the combination of these two elements, that is hydrogen and oxygen, water is a non-combustible compound and also it does not support combustion. So here we see that properties of the compound are different from the properties of its elements, that is hydrogen and oxygen. So having now understood what are elements and compounds, now we will go on to see what is a chemical formula, the information that is provided by a chemical formula, and also the things that we need to know in order to write a chemical formula. Chemical formula is nothing but the representation of a compound using its symbols. It denotes the number of atoms of each element present. Chemical formula provides us an information about the type of the elements that are present in the compound, and it also tells us about the number of elements that are present. Now let's see few examples. This is the compound water, and the chemical formula of the compound water is H2O. As you can see here, two different elements, that is hydrogen and oxygen, are combined together in order to form the compound water. Here we see that two atoms of hydrogen combine with one atom of oxygen in order to form H2O. So since there are two atoms of hydrogen, we write it as a subscript next to hydrogen. And since there is only one atom of oxygen that is present here, we neglect that one and we write only O. And thus we form the formula H2O. Similar is the case of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is formed by the combination of two different elements, that is carbon and oxygen. Here we see that one atom of carbon combines with two atoms of oxygen in order to form the compound carbon dioxide with the chemical formula CO2. Likewise here, for the formation of the compound lead nitrate, we see that one atom of lead combines with two atoms of nitrogen and 6 atoms of oxygen in order to form the compound PbNO3 twice, that is lead nitrate. Likewise, the formation of the compound iron sulfate, one atom of iron combines with 3 atoms of sulfur and 12 atoms of oxygen in order to form the compound FeSO4 thrice, which is otherwise known as iron sulfate. But in order to write this chemical formula of various compounds, we need to have an understanding of two important things. One is the symbol of the element. Two is the combining capacity of an element, or otherwise called as the valency of an element. Out of these two, we have already seen the symbols of various elements in our previous class. So now we will go on to see what is the valency, or otherwise the combining capacity of elements. Valency of elements is the number of hydrogen atoms which can combine with or displace one atom of the element or radical. As you look into these examples, we can see that valency of elements is the number of hydrogen atoms which can combine with or that can displace one atom of the element or radical. Now let us understand this with few of these examples. Here we see that for the formation of a molecule of hydrogen chloride with the chemical formula HCl, one atom of chlorine combines with one atom of hydrogen. In the second case, we see that for the formation of a molecule of water with the chemical formula H2O, one atom of oxygen combines with two atoms of hydrogen. In the third case, we see that for the formation of a molecule of ammonia with the chemical formula NH3, one atom of nitrogen combines with three atoms of hydrogen. Now, do you notice a change in the number of atoms of hydrogen in each of these cases? Why is it so? This is because when you compare the case of the formation of water and hydrogen chloride, we see that oxygen has 2 times the combining capacity of that of chlorine with hydrogen. And that is why oxygen can combine with 2 atoms of hydrogen, while chlorine can combine with only 1 atom of hydrogen. Likewise is the case of nitrogen with hydrogen. Nitrogen can combine with 3 atoms of hydrogen. Therefore, when we compare it with chlorine, we see that nitrogen has got 3 times the combining capacity more than that of chlorine, which means nitrogen can combine with 3 atoms of hydrogen, and therefore we say that the valency of nitrogen is equal to 3. While in this case, we see that the valency of oxygen is equal to 2 because it combines with only 2 atoms of hydrogen. And in this case, as we have already seen, chlorine combines with 1 atom of hydrogen, and therefore the valency of chlorine is equal to 1. So now from this we understand that valency of elements is the number of hydrogen atoms which can combine with or displace one atom of the element or radical. So now we have understood what is the valency of elements. We are going to see the valency of various elements in our next class.